Hi there, welcome back to Marky Boy RC. Today we're going to be building the Tamiya Porsche 956 kit. What I like to do is, I like to lay my parts out because the key on the side of the manual is 1:1. As long as you do it in that fashion, you can't really go wrong. Same with the parts on the part trees, they're all listed. Lay everything out on the first page and then you cannot make any mistakes. If you've built the model as per the instructions, this is exactly as it should turn out. Very, very simple construction. Very, very simple suspension. Just a spring and a pin. I suppose because the model's quite light, doesn't really need anything more than that. Right, we're going to page 2 now. Same as page 1, what I'd like to do is lay my parts out. So we've got a servo. We've also got all of our screws. Line everything up exactly. And you also know you haven't got any spare parts left from that particular part bag. Right, everything's laid out, just need the plastic parts, braces, rear gearbox parts, servo mounts and the bushings. Right, let's build this part. Right, we're on to page 2 now. Steering rods. Tamiya will also give you a guide on the manual, so that when you put the rods on and you put your wheels on, everything's lined up properly. Same again, 1:1 scale. You could just put it on top of the picture. See whether you need to do it up anymore. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of fine tuning on these, but normally they're pretty good. And I won't be running the model, so, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't, depending. Everything lines up exactly. Put everything together, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Now we've completed stages 5, 6 and 7, which should look like that. Rear gearbox mount made. Front suspension now connected to the tub chassis. Servos in, steering all connected up. Everything looks pretty good and straight. We've also laid out the parts ready for the next part. Little word of note, they have these little captive nuts in the back of the wheel hubs. There's a little guide that says how to put them in. Doing them up too tight, you could end up breaking something. Not doing them up tight enough, and they're going to keep falling out because you have to remove these screws when you carry on with the rest of the build. And as all Tamiya kits, parts are absolutely perfect, really well made, and everything fits so tight that there's absolutely no movement in anything. I'll get on with the rest of the build. I'll put it together and then I'll show you what it'll look like. If you followed the instructions correctly, we should have a model that looks exactly like that. Rear gearbox mounted. I'm assuming that gives you your suspension. Once the shock's mounted across there, all the parts are laid out ready for the next part of the build. I'll build it up and then I'll show you what it looks like. Here we have the model, rear axle in, runs on bearings, absolutely no play, super smooth. Just a little tip, got the ball diff to build next. I find the easiest way, put a little bit of the supplied ball diff grease onto a driver, and you can simply pick the little balls up, pop them in, just push them in with your thumb to make sure they're seated properly. And Tamiya do supply in the kit a couple of extra steel bearing balls to if you lose a couple or if you drop a couple you can't find them. Also make sure that when you're putting the diff together you keep the thrust rings nice and clean, and you also get these washers that are like a spring washer, and they're angled, they're cupped, so make sure that you put them in the right way round. It does show you on the instructions a little side view there of what exactly it should look like. So I'll put all this together now, and then I'll show you how small the ball diffs are when they're all put together. Well, rear of the car put together, rear differential installed, lovely and smooth. Also to note, I like to have a little bit of backlash between the pinion and the spur gear, so everything's not so tight that it can bind up or create a lot of heat and mount something. You can adjust this by undoing the two screws top and bottom on the motor. That pivots backwards and forwards, so you can tighten the gear mesh or loosen the gear mesh. We've also got the spur gear to take note of, that it's a directional spur gear, so if it's put on the wrong way round you're going to have problems with that inside cup seating on the side of the balls in the diff. And as you can see there, a slightly hopped up Tamiya Sport Tune motor. Not sure if that's going to make a lot of difference over a normal one. I might do a test on them actually. Next stage is we've got 12, 13 and 14, which is a rear CVA shock, oil filled. I'll lay all the parts out for that, and then we'll pop that together and pop it on the model. Right, we've got all the parts laid out there for the Tamiya CVA piston. I always find I put the piston on already with the E-clips because I find that an absolute nuisance, and I didn't want to do that on camera because it takes me ages. Poke the piston rod through there, stick on your O-rings, put a bit of silicone oil already on them so nothing binds up. Put your end cap on. And then fill the piston with oil. And you get a rubber bladder to go on the top and the top cap. Spring, bottom point, mounting point, bottom cap. And then in the kit you get supplied spacers to make the shock a bit stronger. And there we have it, one CVA shock. I'll fit that on the model, and then I'll show you what it all looks like. Right, here we have the back of the model now, fully built up. You can see the suspension rear shock working there. Just a case now of putting the wheels on. Tamiya supply a decal to go on the front wheel. I always find heating it up with a hairdryer, you can mould it to the shape of the contours of the wheel. The centre sections are always cut out with a scalpel blade. The rear wheels need to be painted, the centres need to be gold, so I need to get some gold paint to do that. The wheels are supposed to be stuck on with self-adhesive tape, but I'm not going to run the model, so there's no point doing that. Still got the body post to mount. There's the other decal that needs to go on the other front wheel. I'll put all those together and then I can show you what the model looks like. Here we have the finished chassis, fully built. Pretty cool little buggy. Really low to the ground. Love the front wheels. Rear wheels need to be painted gold still. Need to pick some paint up. Let's have a little look at suspension travel. Not much. Not much. Next video will be painting the body and putting the decals on. Hope you've enjoyed the build. Be nice if you could subscribe and like. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.